In the film adaptation of Carl Sagan's science fiction novel Contact, several additions and subtractions found their way into the movie which are not found in Sagan's book. Among them is a scene where the religious character in the movie, Palmer Joss, played by Matthew McConaughey, and our scientist heroine, Ellie, played by Jodie Foster. Not that kind of heroine. Anyway, they're talking about God and Occam's razor and Ellie's need for proof when it comes to something like God, when McConaughey's character asks Ellie if she loved her father, to which she answers, yes. Prove it, he says. Oh, booyah, right? I mean, geez, that's just devastating. That's checkmate. How do you even come back from something like that? That's just... Wait. That's really... God and love aren't analogous at all. That's just really stupid now that I'm thinking about it. Why would Carl put something in the movie that... Oh, wait, that was added by a screenwriter. I'm sorry, I forgot. That's pretty much how you know what was in the book and what was added to the screenplay. If it's less than brilliant, it's not Carl's. Unfortunately, Contact was not my first run-in with this argument. When I was a believer, this was something I heard quite frequently. And even then I knew there was something wrong with it. Love is not a thing which exists outside humans or animals. It's not an independent entity floating around somewhere in space which people say they've seen or been contacted by, but of which there is absolutely no evidence. Love is entirely self-generated by humans, by us. And now that we've finally began looking into the brains of other animals, it appears those parts of our brains which light up when we're feeling those feelings of love light up those same corresponding parts of the brain in other animals as well, dogs in particular. But those feelings and everything which creates both the feeling and the actions which follow or should come from us. We don't have to believe in love. We experience love in a very real way. But some people will say that they experience God too. That's true. And I suspect that those people experience God in a very similar way, a self-generating way. We've been able to show similar patterns in the brain occurring in conjunction with religious euphoria. But God is supposedly a separate entity, at least in terms of the God of Abraham, the big G God we talk about here in the West. That being shouldn't need our neural pathways to light up in order to sustain or reveal his existence. We also know enough now to understand that our feelings of love, anger, revulsion at certain people's hair, those feelings are the result of physical chemical processes. They are material and in no way mystical or supernatural, nor are there, unlike belief in God, any consequences to believing or not believing in love. No one claims, for instance, that love created the universe or acts in human history to shape events. No one believes that one's failure to believe in love will cause one to be tortured for all eternity in an after-love life, although I'm sure some of you feel that's already happened to you. Nor does love have a will, which is said to have been communicated to us via desert-dwelling Bronze Age morons. And unlike God is said to be, though this is not entirely clear from what people believe about him, love can be dumb as a bag of rocks. As someone who's been married and divorced twice, I can tell you that love can also be a motherfucker. Like you've never been before, and then that son of a bitch more until you just want to die. If you'll allow me to whack philosophical for just a moment, I think love is a lot more like gravity in that it generates its own evidence. In fact, I would say that wherever or whenever you're looking for love, there must be evidence first and foremost. If you can't find that evidence and you feel like you're bouncing around on the International Space Station unable to gain your footing, then don't believe. You're in a zero-G environment. Where there is love, there will be evidence, just like gravity. And unlike God, someone once said that the opposite of love is not hate, but apathy, not caring. And I agree with that. We know of love because we see it in action. Love is not a spectator sport. It doesn't sit by watching. Again, unlike God. It gets involved. It cares for others. It certainly doesn't shoot its mouth off for 1,000 years and then just get up and walk away, leaving us all to wonder what the hell it was talking about. Love, unlike God, is a doer. I'm sure you've all seen this. Practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. Someone changed that saying to this, which I like a lot more. Practice intentional acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. That to me is love. It's an action, an intention, an action. Action always leaves evidence, unlike God. Of course, some people say that God is love. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but I will admit that love and God are not always found on different pages. There is one very definite way in which love and God are absolutely bound. I suspect you know what I'm going to say now, don't you? That's right. Both God and love have inspired humans to make some of the worst movies you will ever see. Whew.